Hello friends, my name is CA Hemant Gupta and today I am going to discuss one recent Supreme Court case in relation to IBC. The name of the case is Lakshmipat Surana vs Union of India. Two issues arose under this case. One issue was in relation to filing of Section 7 application against corporate person who was given a corporate guarantee in respect of debt owned by a proprietorship concern who is actually not a corporate person. And second, time limit of filing Section 7 application, whether Limitation Act would be applicable from the date of default or from the date of acknowledgement of liability. The fact of the case was financial creditor gave a loan to proprietorship concern Mahavir Constructions, who in turn secured a corporate guarantee from Surana Metal Limited. The loan was granted somewhere in 2007-2008. It was working perfectly fine up till 2010, from which date the loan was classified as NPA from the bank. The matter was taken up to DRT against the proprietorship concern. However, the proprietorship concern kept on promising that they are going to repay the loan, but unfortunately they did not repay the loan. So somewhere in 2018, financial creditor wrote to corporate guarantor invoking the bank guarantee and asking them to pay, to which they replied that they are not liable to pay because first of all the remedy against the principal borrower has to be exhausted, then only they can be asked to repay. And secondly, since the bank was demanding the dues under Section 7 of the IBC by invoking Section 7 of the IBC, so it was contended by the corporate debtor, since the main borrower is a proprietorship concern, Section 7 application under IBC is not maintainable. So as it happened, the matter went to NCLT. Both NCLT and NCLT ruled in favor of the financial creditor, stating that the corporate guarantor has to repay the loan back to the financial creditor. So, dissatisfied with the order of both NCLT and NCLAT, corporate applicant approached Supreme Court, making his grievance apparent on the same facts and logic. So, what Supreme Court said there, that liability of corporate person is coextensive and coterminous with that of the principal borrower, and it is up to the financial creditor to decide with whom he want to pursue for recovery of his debt, because the loan was granted on the basis of corporate guarantee as well as on the financials or financial strength of principal borrower. So if one of them is not able to pay, so it has the liberty to go against the other person. And moreover, in case financial creditor is going to make the payment, he always can file a suit against the principal borrower to recover the amount paid as a corporate guarantor. Okay, so the contention of corporate guarantor that since part 3 of the IBC code has not yet been notified, which is applicable in case of a borrowing by individual and partnership firms, so indirectly financial creditor is trying to invoke a legal provision which has still not been notified. This was also negated by the Supreme Court by stating the Section 128 of Contract Act, thereby stating that liability being coextensive and coterminous, they are liable to pay. So the issue was settled with regard to the maintainability of Section 7 application. Now again coming to the point where the corporate debtor disputed the liability in respect of limitation period, stating that the loan was declared as NPA in 2010 and the application was filed in somewhere in February 2019. So application is not maintainable, being time barred. The Supreme Court discussed various aspects in relation to Limitation Act, especially the Section 238A of IBC Act, which states that the Limitation Act's provisions are applicable to IBC code to the extent they are applicable during the proceeding of NCLT, DRT, NCLAT or DRAT. So Supreme Court said that the intention behind bringing the limitation period is not to give the fresh lease of life to already dead cases which were not pursued by the financial creditors or creditors, and they have lapsed on because of their own laches. So if you are going to import Limitation Act by virtue of Section 238A, then provision of Section 18 of Limitation Act should also be read into it, and if there is acknowledgement of debt, so that will also renew the liability. that will also renew the liability in terms of running of limitation period. So limitation period will again run afresh from the date of acknowledgement. So what had happened in this case, the financial creditor had written in somewhere in 2018 to corporate person, that corporate guarantor in turn recognized that liability exists, but loan was taken by principal borrower and they have only given the corporate guarantee for that. However, this admission or this communication was without prejudice, but court held that this amounts to admission of liability or acknowledgement of liability. So limitation period will start to run afresh from somewhere from December 2018, since application for section 7 application was filed somewhere in February 2019, so it was considered to be filed within due date. So as we all know, the limitation period, section 137 of Limitation Act applies, which states that the limitation period is to be considered as 3 years from the date of default or from the date of acknowledgement. So section 137 read with section 18, which renews the limitation period from the date of acknowledgement. It was held by the Supreme Court that limitation period has begun to run afresh from the date of acknowledgement, and the section 7 application filed by the financial creditor is valid and maintainable. Thank you.